Today we're going to learn how to mix and prepare the paint that we're going to use on the field to paint the grass lines. Some of the equipment you're going to need is the bucket of the uncut paint that you're going to dilute with water. You're going to need the buckets that you're going to mix them into. In this case, we're going to go 3 5-gallon buckets out of 1 5-gallon bucket of concentrated paint. You're going to need the 2 different kinds of mixers. We've got almost a cement mixer attachment for mixing the concentrated stuff, and a more traditional paint mixer for when you've already diluted it with water. And then you're also just going to need a hose to add water, obviously, and then a Sharpie and some tape for labeling. So for this concentrated paint, you really want to mix it up together. So this stuff, you really want to mix it well. And it's going to take probably 2 to 3 minutes of mixing with this nice mixer to really smooth it out and get all the little chunks and stuff off the wall as best you can. Okay, so now we're going to split these up into our different buckets. I've already put a little water in the bottom of the bucket so that the paint doesn't stick as easily, and it'll mix a little better when we start to point it out. You got to kind of eyeball what you think a third of a bucket is. There's no markings inside of it, so I do my best to go about a third for each one. That one, you're gonna have a bunch of paint left over inside there that's stuck, and what we're gonna end up doing is cleaning it off the walls. So once you're done putting it in, you're gonna have a bunch of paint left over inside this bucket, and it's still good paint. We want to use it, so we're gonna take water and we're gonna kind of clean it off the sides and the bottom and add it to the buckets that we've made. So all I'm doing is taking the water and slowly getting stuff off the side walls. But I want to still use it, but I don't want it to be all chunky and gross inside, so I'm cleaning it off in the cleanest way that I know how. So after I have put a bunch off the side of the walls, I'm going to take the water and the paint that is together, and I'm just going to add it to one of the buckets. And we're going to do this for all of them until we get all the paint out of the original bucket and all of these to the right height and water consistency that we want to mix it together as a final product. So cleaning out this original bucket is going to take a few different times. And while I'm doing this, we're going to be mixing the other buckets to start getting the water in the paint. Go ahead. So we'll add water slowly to these buckets because we don't want to, the water and the paint are separated right now. We want to slowly incorporate water into it at the same time. So as he's going, I'll just add a little more in. And you'll be able to tell that they're mixing well because it'll just get silkier and smoother as you go along. We started off at about a third where it was just the paint. And I'll probably fill it to about a halfway first on both, just to get a little bit of water in. I'm gonna do this as he's mixing. So as we go along, he's gonna be moving around every minute or so to the other buckets to mix them in as I keep adding water. I've already added water once to this one. And I'm just gonna add a little more, one more time for it with the new attachment on. I'll do the same for all the other buckets as well. My goal is to get the buckets about 75% to 80% full. Any higher, they'll be really hard to pour them into the painters. Yeah. So after he's been mixing each of these for about 2 to 3 minutes each, rotating, you'll be able to tell that it's really close to being done because it's got that really silky, almost cream-like texture to it. We're gonna switch over to the final paint mixer. And then when you're done with anytime you're done mixing paint, always make sure you're cleaning your stuff off. We don't wanna create a bunch of layers on our mixer, so get them real good, nice and clean. All right, so the last step of mixing, what we're gonna do is he's put on the normal mixing, paint mixing attachment, and he's gonna do each one for about 30 to 45 seconds, just to really make sure everything gets incorporated well. All the fine little chunks left are done and mixed in. Really make sure you get in on all those edges in the bottom. Just get any paint that may have been attached to the sidewalls. Really incorporate it nicely into the mixture, and you don't get any chunks into your painter as you're painting. So when we're done mixing, we just want to make sure our buckets are labeled so we know exactly when and what kind of paint it is. So on the top of these, I'll put the type of paint we have. In this case, it's called World Class White, and then the date that it was mixed. So now I kind of have to change this one from the last time we made paint on June 27th to today's date, which is July 19th. So I'll go 7/19, so we know exactly how old our paint is. And that's how you get paint ready, how you mix it. Hopefully this helps you learn how to do it a little better. And next video will show you how to load the painter and get ready to paint. Thanks, guys.